What is up, guys? We are back with another book review, guys. I have never seen coincidence like this one. I know nothing about Colleen Hoover. I've heard it pronounced different ways. I know nothing about this book. I have not heard about it on TikTok or anything like that. I was walking through Books A Million. I had just finished Dreamland and The Wish by Nicholas Sparks, and I said, you know what? I want to try a different author, one I've never seen. Let me just walk through the romance aisle, see what catches my eye. This book, sure, it's a limited edition, extra, chapter, whatever. I see it. It grabs my attention. Good job on the marketing for Colleen Hoover's people. I grab it. I sit down. I do no review of it. I don't look anything into it. I read the little inlet and I go, okay. Lo and Ashley is our main character. She goes by Lo for most of the book. You have Jeremy, who's the husband of Verity. Given, you guys know already, I'm going to be giving spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, don't watch this video. I'm not giving a general plot outline. I'm talking about how the book was throughout in its entirety, and then I'll be giving it a 0 from 10 rating at the end. Lowen is a struggling author, writer, whatever, who is currently sleeping with her agent. It's kind of her ex, but not really, kind of. They just like hook up. It's toxic. She's in a bad way. She talks about how she's been out drinking and just her life is not working as a writer. Her agent has this weird meeting that she's supposed to go to. On the way to said meeting, they see a death. A man's head is squashed under a car. To which in comes Jeremy. The man's head being squished was from Lowen's perspective. In comes Jeremy, who is standing right there. He's very calm. He gives her a shirt to cover herself. She's covered in blood. And they end up they're on their way to the same meeting. Jeremy is the husband of Verity, who is a very famous author in the story. She's a well-known author. And Jeremy is presenting Lowen the opportunity to finish the very popular book series that Verity has started on. Verity doesn't feel up to the challenge. She knows very well who this author is. It's a big name. It's kind of like, Nicholas Sparks of now or something like that. And after some consideration, she ends up taking the gig. She moves into Jeremy's house because he says that Verity had this office with years and years of stuff, plots and ideas and notes and all this stuff plunged into her room. Verity, you come to find, had been in an accident that rendered her essentially brain dead. She can't move. She can't do anything on her own. Jeremy is still taking care of her. So this is all known throughout the book that Verity is up in a room and there's a nursing staff of a woman named April and one other that comes and takes care of her for most of the day, and then Jeremy takes care of her at night. Verity moves into a spare bed, or the master bedroom. Jeremy and his son Crew have moved into a separate wing of the house, and Crew spends some of the time up with Verity just hanging out. That becomes important later. Immediately upon Lowen moving into the house, having the office with uncovering all this stuff, I immediately started to get the vibe of that Netflix show Archive 81, where the guy was hired to come in and refurbish some destroyed tapes. He wasn't allowed to know why. They were a little more secretive with him. Don't ask questions. You sit here, you fix them, you watch it, you tell me if you see anything that I need to know. Well, in this situation, she's being brought in. Verity is not able to do anything, even communicate. So she's brought in to unpack all this because she had been screened prior and they think her writing style was enough similar to Verity's that she'd be able to make this happen. Immediately, she finds a manuscript written by Verity that is nothing to do with the project she's doing. It's an autobiography. She's writing her perspective of her life. Okay? This is where all the spoilers are about to come in. The manuscript is a first-person perspective of Verity and her life from the time she met Jeremy, and she described the passionate sex that they had and how much he craved her. And she's Colleen Hoover is very descriptive when she really puts you into a sex scene. She'll put you in it. She'll describe exactly what's going down. I think in a way she leaned a little too heavy. It made it feel like she was going for a 50 Shades of Grey type shock without the whips and the bondage and all that. But like the way she was like, and then I licked up and down him and stuff, it was like, yeah, cool. It puts you in the sex scene. I'll give you that. This is a romance novel. We like steamy. I'm not, not a child. But at the same token, it's like, okay, also describe then the environment around them, not just the act that you think is going to shock people. I don't think people are as shocked by sex scenes these days, even in books. So again, I think some of it was a little like gigglish in the way it was written. They were fiery scenes at some point, and then there was a chunk once you found the manuscript where it was like she was really hitting the sex thing hard. I don't know. For me, once the point was made, it didn't need to keep being reiterated the way that it was. But that's just me. So they talk about, the manuscript talks about the passionate sex that Verity and Jeremy have. He just constantly has to take her. Well, then it gets to the point where she becomes pregnant with their child. And this gets fucking dark. So warning, all the spoilers are coming. It's dark as fuck. She hates the baby immediately. She hates the idea of the fact that Jeremy loves this baby more than he loves her. And she resents it from the second she finds out she's pregnant. When she gives birth, she tried to do a home abortion herself multiple times. She tried to throw herself downstairs. She took drugs. She put a coat hanger up herself, which led to one, when I say one, she ended up being pregnant with twins. She gave birth. She was even more pissed that there was going to be two because Jeremy was more excited. After the coat hanger incident, which again, guys, this is dark. I warned you it was dark. One of the babies had a scar on its face. Well, she had this dream that one of the children, it was like Harper and I forget the other, Caton or something like that. Harper and the other one, and had the dream that one of the kids was going to kill the other one. Well, at some point, she connected to one of the kids. That one was the one she was convinced was going to be killed by the other one. Well, something happened. They grew up to be, 5, 6, whatever. They went off to a sleepover, and the one died from a peanut allergy. The mom blamed the other one, and it was a big, big fucking mess, right? Well, the kid dies. She's still writing about how much she hates the child, how much she hates motherhood. She's only doing it, and she's neglecting the children. They've now had a third child, Crew, the son, and she neglects them. So every time Jeremy goes off to work, she just lays in bed, puts headphones on, and lets the kids cry. And then as they get older, she just doesn't pay any attention to him. And then the second he gets home, she becomes like the doting mother. It's all a show. And it's really fucking sick. It's really sick. So, one, she tried to kill her kid with a coat hanger. Found out that the one child died via peanut allergy. Blames the other child. Later on in the book, Jeremy goes somewhere. You find out through the manuscript that she flipped a kayak or a rowboat over to kill the youngest child. She told Crew, hold your breath, and she tipped it, knowing that the other kid couldn't swim. So Jeremy's now lost 2 kids, one of which she tried to murder, it just didn't work, came to like one of them. The other one dies of a peanut allergy, so then she kills her other child while she's been trying to kill them all this whole time. She's just talked about different ways she's tried to smother the kid. She's tried to kill him, all while pretending to be this great mother. But it's really just for the passion and the sex of Jeremy's like desire for her. That's what she craves. Like even the success of her being an author just doesn't do it for her. So Verity finds all this out, all while I'm ignoring half of the book, which is that her and Jeremy are having small conversations that lead into little flirtations that lead to them fucking. This whole time, she hasn't told him that she's found this manuscript. So she's debating, should I tell him, should I not? Should I just get done with this project and get the hell out of here? They paid her a ton of money. They were waiting on this money to come in so she could move out of the house. It never really came in. Her plan to move to a different apartment fell through. So it just kept drawing them closer the longer she stayed. She became okay with it. They end up fucking. She talks about, she was now becoming jealous of Verity and the story that was being told, and also just how sick it was. She was falling in love with Jeremy and felt he had to know. While at the same time, little coincidences keep coming up. Crew is saying, my mom told me this, my mom told me that, when she's not supposed to be able to talk. So you start getting the idea, like, is this bitch moving around the house? So then you get kind of that, there's a movie out where a guy lived in the crawl space, like he moved through the walls of the house. Kind of gave me that vibe. So then you get the idea that Verity can move. She's aware of what's going on, because the closer they get, the more these things keep happening. They get locked in the room together the first night they make love, and it's, whatever. So it comes to be, right? She can move. She's fine. There's nothing wrong with her. She's been pretending the whole time. Jeremy kills her because Lowen gives him the manuscript. He reads everything. He knows what she did and how she felt and how it's all been a lie. He kills her. They made it look like an accident, that she just suffocated because she's supposed to be on all these machines and stuff. Makes it look like it was a medical accident, like she just suffocated. Life goes on. They disappear. They end up together. They end up having a kid together. I feel like I'm missing something pretty major. So Verity dies. Oh, yeah, the biggest thing. They find out. So Jeremy and Lowen get married. They have a kid together. She's pregnant. They end up moving away from wherever that house was. They have to go back to like get some few last things. Crew goes, let me get this, whatever. He goes and pulls something out from under a floorboard where he had been previously stashing stuff for them. And Lowen finds a note from Verity to Jeremy. And it's saying this manuscript was fake. It was a story. I was getting in the mindset of a villain to write these books that made me so popular. That's how I was able to write these things. Her series that she wrote from was from a villain's mindset. That's why people like them. And she wasn't that. She was a happy person. She was a good mother. She was a happy mother. But she knew that after the death of the peanut allergy, she had to find a way to deal with it mentally, because nobody had done foul play. She had no ill intent. She did not try to kill her kids. She did not use a coat hanger. None of that happened. She had to deal with the loss of her child in real life, and she did that by turning herself into a villain in a story. And she knew... I'm trying to think back now, because it ends up being Jeremy puts her in the car and drives her into a tree. But he did do that after he thought he already knew. Something about like when the boat tipped over and they didn't have life jackets on, he thought he knew. So it ends up being Jeremy kills Verity. They go somewhere else. He kills a friend of theirs that's in like hanging out by the water, sees him, recognizes him, was like, weren't you guys? Because she had seen him once before in a grocery store when they were shopping together when Verity was still alive. Nobody knew anything had happened to Verity. The PR stuff that was going out just said She's getting some help from a co-writer. Here's this new author. They put her under a pen name. It wasn't even a real name. So nobody in the outside world knew what was going on with Verity. So when she died, nobody had any questions to ask. They didn't even say anything. It was a very complicated book that I feel tried to be interesting by being very dark. On top of the fact that I don't think it was unique, it was so... I felt inspired by that Archive 81 show. I had a hard time getting this thing up over like a 6 on a scale of 0 to 10. I thought the writing was kind of lazy. I read this all in one sitting, just in one day, sat down on a Saturday and read it when the snowstorms came through. I thought that that Colleen leaned too much into trying to be shocking with sex and, oh my God, who would do something like this? It is sick and twisted. I think the book would have been better had they left the extra chapter out. When I got the limited edition version, I got the extra chapter. So the book really closed in two ways for me. I like the way it closed originally, I think, which is where she doesn't write the letter saying this is all fake. The book ends and you think, oh my God, she was alive. He killed her. They go, they live a life happy ever after. The extra chapter is that she finds the note saying this is all fake. I think if you make it all fake and you just turn Jeremy into a murderer, it kills the entire story because you pull for Jeremy the whole time. Even when he kills Verity, you're like, well, yeah, she's an evil son of a... Yeah, he killed her. She killed his kids. Like, yeah, and faked this for how long? Like, yeah, he did. And then the friend he kills out of, like, paranoia. He's paranoid. That was the first one where even Lowe was like, oh, my God, I'm married to a murderer. He's now murdered 2 women. He didn't really have to do this one. He felt he did. So he did. They find out that, nobody's suggesting anything. It was ruled a drowning. This guy is just plagued by death. It was dark. It was unnecessarily dark. I get why a young person, I saw that it was on Book Talk. That's the section they had it in Books A Million. I think to young people, it's unnecessary. It's not a story that young people need to indulge. For anyone over 25 that could handle the darkness that's in this book, I just think there's other stuff to read. I don't think that a book like this adds anything. The suspense and the back and forth. One, you kind of saw it coming. You knew the vibe of what was coming. So, in a sense, I just have to say I was unimpressed. Why it's getting all this hype, her publicity team is just doing a fantastic job. Because once I finished reading it, I appreciated at least the attempt, the effort. I'm writing a book. I know how difficult it can be. So I'm like, okay, this one, if I ruled Verity a 6 out of 10, this is the one. It ends with us, and this is a 2-parter. There's the other one that's like it starts with us or whatever. This is the one that I'll be reading next by her, Colleen Hoover, and I'm going to give it another shot because it's like I saw the potential for a great storyteller if she has an original idea that's fully original. I feel like we went to Archive 81 mixed with that show where the guy's creeping and crawling through the house. Obvious, the love interest, you knew Jeremy and Lowen were going to end up being a thing. And it was like everything just seemed too obvious and too... I'm not impressed by shock and awe. I like a story. Give me a story. This seemed to lack story, more peppered with bullshit that was unnecessary. So for Verity, I would give it a 6 out of 10. We will see how It Ends With Us goes. We'll see you in the next one.